NEXA music, truly inspiring.
Hello and welcome to NEXA Music Season 2 podcast. My name is Nirmika Singh and today's episode is very special because I have two incredible guests with me. If you grew up listening to Indian rock in the 90s and watched a ton of MTV, you probably idolized him. He's the ultimate rock star, the frontman of Indus Creed, a singer, composer, performer, and all-rounder, and OG. Uday Benegal. Welcome, Uday.
Thank you.
My second guest can do it all. She's a singer, actor, performer, and has to her name collaborations with A.R. Rahman, Clinton Sereo, and many others. Please welcome Nisa Shetty.
Thank you.
I think the episode today is so important, so vital, so exciting because we have Nisa. I'm sure like this moment for you is also very, oh my God, there's Uday Benegal sitting next to me.
And Nirmika and Uday.
And you have a collaboration.
Me too,
with
sitting with Nirmika and Nisa. Wonderful.
It is wonderful.
Of course
Tell me
it
about the
is.
collaboration. I can't do this anymore. That's the name of the song. Why?
That question you'll have to ask Mikey
Why?
McCleary, who composed and produced and wrote the words to the song. So that question is his, but we can answer questions about every other aspect of the song in terms of the performance and recording of it.
Great. How did you feel? I mean, when you saw the song, when you heard the melody, the lyrics, what were the first feelings? Nisa, how did you feel?
I felt very connected to the song for particular reasons. But I was just very excited. I didn't realize that I would get to be a part of one of the headliner songs. And Uday sir was singing, to it. So I was just very excited. And I was like, he's like, it'll sound good with female vocals in it. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So I just did my best.
Yeah, and speaking of like headliner collaboration, this is the first headliner collaboration from the, NEXA Music Season 2 ecosystem. And we're going to see so many songs coming up. How does it feel to be like spearheading it?
Well, I'm not sure I'm spearheading it, but I'm certainly glad to be a part of the collaboration that involves someone who's coming out of the NEXA scene.
Right.
Nisa being the winner of last year's.
We're calling it NEXA Shetty for no reason.
Oh God!
So I like that part of it because it's really important not just to have the platform for new upcoming or emerging talent, but to combine them with the talent that's already being showcased as apparently established talent and stuff. And the two worlds have to meet. Because that's how the music moves forward. So I was great. Yeah. When the moment I was told that Nisa is going to be a part of the song, it's going to be like a duet of sorts, I said, great, fantastic. I love the idea.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And she sounds great on it.
Of course she
really,
does.
Really good,
it's brilliant. I think it's so off the times. Yeah. And it's also so, I love the dilemma in the song, but it's so real and it's also...
What got me was the poppiness of the song.
Yes!
It was like, oh wow, this is a heavy pop song.
Yeah.
Great.
I love it, a heavy pop song.
Yeah, I think this is pop, man, all the way through.
I
no
know.
filters. And then initially my thing was like, wow, this is really poppy. And I was like, wow, I've never done something so poppy before. So I'm really happy to do it because I'm always happy to try out something new.
Sure.
I mean, really new. And with music, breaking down one's inhibitions and preconceived ideas about what I represent, I think is really important for any creative artist to grow and expand.
How amazing is that? How amazing is that? Because, it's also very complex because people perceive you, in a certain way. So there is a sense of responsibility to keep holding that image. But you want to keep breaking it for yourself because you want to reinvent
So I'll
yourself.
jump in that sense of responsibility that you talk about is on the one hand self-imposed, but it's completely misinterpreted. Nisa and I were having a chat before we started the shoot about this stuff. I think it is critical. It's completely essential that you always stay. Now, I know it sounds all very lovely to say stay true to yourself and stuff, but for a creative person, for a creative artist, and certainly for musicians who are involved in the pop industry, or pop and rock, the popular music industry, it's very easy to be pressured to follow trends or to do certain things because it's expected of you because it's to be done a particular way.
Right.
See, so-and-so has done it this way, so you should also. It makes sense. It's under the guise of it being practical. The most important thing for a creative person is to create honestly and be comfortable with it. It doesn't mean that you must always pigeonhole yourself in a particular thing and say this is who I am. In fact, it's very important to break out of that, I think. A lot of people do really well with their entire careers maintaining that image and maintaining that sound and that style. No issue with that.
Right.
But I believe, from my experience, I believe it's very important to take that and smash it open. smash it open and say, see, I can have more fun doing things beyond that as well.
Right, but it does take like a certain amount of foundation building at the start. Nisa, do you see yourself in that space where you're still sort of figuring your zone because you've experimented so much in the past year? So congratulations, first of all, for all the NEXA goodness that has come your way. Everybody loves you, your voice, your persona, and it's such a vital time for you too.
For me to work with someone like Uday sir, with Clinton sir, and it's all different genres coming together.
Drop the sir bit.
Oh, sorry.
My name is Uday, no Uday sir.
Uday.
Uday Benegal.
But yeah, like I'm being exposed to like so many amazing musicians from the industry, working with them in the studio, and you guys are such wonderful people. I have to say that.
Thank you.
You know, like AR sir and everyone, you know, you're so scared to meet them, and then you meet them, and it's just like they're so cool.
It's the most
so much
wonderful
cooler
thing that
than
happened to me. Yeah.
you're so much cooler than people of my generation.
I like that. Totally not patronizing. You're so much cooler than people from my generation. Which generation are you from?
Well, not so
Cool. You know,
Mine's Gen Z, so who are you? I'm Gen Z, right?
Oh yeah.
the last generation.
I'm a millennial. I'm a boomer.
How could you
You're
be a
boomer, yeah,
boomer?
correct.
We're
She's a
exchanging
boomer,
roles,
I'm
no?
Gen
We're
Z.
Gen Z, yeah.
We're reinventing.
Switching
We're
roles.
reinventing not just the way,
I love
we're
it.
reinventing everything.
I love it.
So I'm not empowering anybody.
I love
They're
that
empowering
term.
themselves.
You're re-empowering yourself. Yeah. The thing is, I think a lot of people don't realize that the power resides within them.
For sure.
Who were you mentored by over there? Did you have many mentors, or do you have people that you looked up to in the scene in India?
Not really. So the thing is, when we were starting out as a band, which is really from the mid 80s, yes, age check, age check.
Gen Z guys,
yeah,
right here.
Gen Z from the 80s, Gen Z from the 80s. Yeah, Jenny from the block and Gen Z from the 80s.
Don't be fooled by the rocks that he's got.
So there were mentors or whatever. Unfortunately, at that point, the only ones we were looking to for inspiration were bands from the West, because those were the ones that existed for a period of time, who'd built their careers, who'd created like a body of work that we were blown away by. So we didn't really have that going for us, but we had each of us within the band. And I was really lucky that before we changed the name to Industry, we were called Rock Machine. And the 6 guys that we were as part of Rock Machine, while we fought like maniacs, I couldn't find a more supportive bunch of friends to have on this ridiculous journey of being a rock and roll band in the 80s and 90s in India, before satellite television and before the internet, more importantly. But we had each other to learn from, so we kind of didn't mentor each other, but we motivated one another, and we looked out for. We were mentored, I guess, just by the system, because we got screwed over so many times that we learned our lessons from that, and then you learn the lessons and you make something out of it.
Yeah, maybe it was a case of like being accidental leaders in the scene, but then things worked out beautifully for you and for everybody else who realized that there was a scene. It's important to be a scene creator, and it's important to be consistent. And I've seen that with NEXA too, right? The fact that you're working on music consistently, you're building that beautiful arsenal of creative gems and people experiencing it with you is important. And I think that the fact that all of us are doing this together is even more important.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, collaboration amongst human beings to create together, but with your creative integrity and your egos checked at the door is very. When you do that, you can really create magic.
Right.
It's really, really important. You see fantastic musicians who don't put out the best stuff because they've got ego issues amongst themselves. And you can have people who are not as, I don't want to use the word talented, maybe not as skilled, but who come together and work in harmony and work as a group together. You can create so much more.
Done is better than perfect, for sure. Nisa, did you get a sense of like, oh my God, am I creating magic? Is this something that I really want to do for the rest of my life? This is it.
Yeah. Honestly, I think in the past couple of years, I have finally started to slowly realize that music is actually the direction I want to take. And yeah, NEXA music has definitely kind of pushed me also a little bit in that direction, because I've been like, this is giving me the satisfaction I like. I love being in a music video. I love singing. I love working with new musicians and everything. So I was like, yes, this is fun.
All right, I've been very curious, and I've always been curious about knowing.
What are you curious about?
I'm just curious, like, period. That is you, curious about knowing from musicians what their creative drive is. Like, why do you create, Uday? And why did you create when you first created?
Okay, let me hark back to when I started to make music.
How old were you? Tell us like the entire story.
You mean professionally or just
how old were you in age?
HR college talent contest.
Yeah, sure.
So,
HR college.
No, if you say how old was I was very young. I was in school and I took part in singing competitions. I lost all of them, but I love to sing, so I took part in some more of them. I was at HR college. Somebody heard me sing, said take part in the Malhar singing competition. which I did very reluctantly, but I wrote my own song because I didn't want to sing any popular song. And I got my brother to play guitar with me, and he worked out some riff, and I wrote a very bad song. It was a terrible song, but it was my song, and I got out there.
Like in English?
In English. Okay. And it was about a junkie or something, and I had political messages on my t-shirt, which I painted with fabric paint, and I wore a jacket. I took the jacket off halfway through the song and turned around because there was another message on the back of the t-shirt.
Oh my God.
Oh, is that?
And I forgot the words to the song halfway, so I would go to my brother and say, just keep playing because I forgot the words. And I was bouncing around on stage. My brother was like, how long do I keep playing? Then I remembered and I finished the song and felt miserable and went off stage. And apparently I won because I was the only one who had actually written his own song. That was my first big life lesson because it was, and Ranjit Barot was one of the judges.
Judges?
Dinsha Sanjana, who is a musician people don't really know anymore. He was a great musician from that time in the Bombay scene, was one of the judges. And Nandu Bhende was the late Nandu Bhende was the third judge. And I've told Ranjit this more recently. I said, you will not remember this, but it's something that is really, it's a life lesson I learned from you and Nandu and Dinsha very young.
Wow.
I didn't know it was of any relevance to write my own song. I just felt the need to do it because I didn't want to do a popular song. And the fact that you guys gave me the prize mainly for being original really validated something that was in the back of my head. So that was something that really worked.
Oh,
for me.
beautiful, beautiful.
That's very
Nisa,
cool.
did you have
That's
like a
show.
Similar story? Did you
Like songwriting?
So
or
anything
like
that you did?
Well, I'm like just today I wrote like a few lines of a song this morning as I landed into Bombay.
Nice.
Yeah, because I like whatever, going through like the XYZ things, and it just makes you, I don't know, the city inspires me, love inspires me, being in love inspires me. But the little story I have is, my family is like with theatre artists, and I've always performed with them, under their umbrella, and Ella. And then I went to boarding school on my own, and then I had this Korean roommate, and she was a wonderful pianist, and we used to just jam, and we had this Irish teacher, and he just like heard us jamming to some Kelly Clarkson song one day. Just quietly we would jam in this music room. And he's like, you have to perform in front of the whole school. And I'm like, are you crazy? No way. I've never sung in front of my peers. And I'm never going to do that.
And how old were you?
I was in like 9th.
Okay.
So I was like 14th or something, 13.
Amazing.
And he was just like, I'm going to set up the keyboard. I'm going to set up an amp and a mic for you in the, like where we have break time, in the middle of it. And I was like, no, I'm getting nervous thinking about it. And he just set it up. And he just like, go, you're going to perform today at this time, at break time. So I was like, okay. So I like went there. And she like started the song and I started singing, and people just gathered, like students and everybody from the school. And that was my first performance as Nisa, like at age 14. And this teacher of mine, he just made it happen,
That's beautiful.
And and then he left school, and he was also a musician, sort of. He would like play bass every now and then. But he really pushed me like kind of.
And I would imagine that any musician, certainly professional musicians, probably have stories, not necessarily the same story or similar stories, but stories where a pivotal moment happened that a human was involved in, that gave them the validation or just
the encouragement
that what you're doing is right.
Right.
Because you're so good at it.
Sometimes just a creative cue. Or it's, maybe it was in you and there was this little inertia and that little, hesitance, and in that you needed somebody to...
Even
just
though
to
my
get a little
family,
push.
they are
Just
full
to
of,
get a
like,
little push.
My nana's a singer, he taught me how to sing, but it was this outside person who pushed me kind of,
That's great. That's
which
great.
is, I think NEXA music is filling that gap, and I feel truly that, I think for all of us, I mean, pretty much the case with me too, right? My music teacher was the one who pushed me into like, okay, you should do this, maybe you're born for this, maybe you should be on stage, whether it's poetry, this and that, whatever, you enjoy it, do it. I realized that with the entries that we've received this year, Uday and Nisa, it's been so heartwarming. So we received about 1,000 entries last year. This year it doubled.
Oh God.
So we got over 2,000 entries, and there were entries coming in from every sort of, nook and corner of the country. And we know that the creative ambition of everyone who's sending in the entries has risen. So the quality is better. A lot of them were recording from scratch just to, make an entry.
Brilliant.
And it just proved the point that, maybe they just needed that little push. Maybe they needed like a mentor, ecosystem.
A platform,
to tell
an
them
ecosystem,
platform,
absolutely.
which is more than just, we're going to give you this prize and you're the winner, go away. And which is exactly what they're not doing. At NEXA Music, we're not installing superstars that kind of evaporate after a year or two. We are putting in place systems, mechanisms, and the infrastructure for people to collaborate.
So I'd like to jump in on that, because one of the complaints I've had over the years about these
talent shows
is that it's about, and I don't say this with any criticism of the people who put these shows together inherently, because it's your show, it's your TV show. My complaint only has been that don't make it so much about the TV show that it ends the moment that your season's over, and whatever you've been touting so far as being a platform for new talent, clearly it's not working because you forget about them immediately. And I've seen it happen too many times. And
I was on a talent show.
Sorry?
I was on a
You are on one of those. Yeah, probably everybody will.
But
I'm sure so many have that experience. And what I really do appreciate about the NEXA thing is that there is a continuity, there is a follow-up, there is a follow-through. And it's going to sound like a promotional thing, but this is evidence of it. The fact that Nisa and I are on the same song, Nisa of season 1 winner and me just of whatever, so many years of, bumming around. The fact that we could be on together is that somebody's taking this seriously for her as much.
Right, I know. And we've seen it, right? The collaboration that you've had and the creative rewards that you have received just as a person who wants to create and be in the scene is just overwhelming. So just a couple of weeks ago, we were looking at the entries and, AR Sir is so involved. And I just realized that everybody really wants this to happen. Everybody wants everyone to succeed. And when you are excellent at your job, you want excellent people around you. So everyone's creating that, together. And that's the beauty of NEXA music. The fact that you don't just get like time with people that you probably idolize. You also get the wherewithal to make your dreams come true, and a future push to keep you in the scene, right? So the gates are not open. You literally kick the door open. It's not just a foot in the door anymore.
But important for anybody who's being a part of this platform, who's getting the opportunity on this platform, to not stop there and expect the platform to keep working for them. The platform is giving you the stage and a certain amount of momentum. Now take it forward and work yourself through it. That's very critical as well.
Right. Nisa, I'm sure you had to do that, right? After all the beautiful pushes that you got from NEXA Music last year.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm still doing that. It's still like I'm still
it never stops.
A musician who trying to make my mark, and it doesn't stop. But NEXA has really given me a push that I needed. And it's also nice that it's not like a reality show like you were saying. Like things are happening internally, and they're in touch with the musicians at all times. It's not some spectacle like, oh, this person is like now out. It's nothing like that. It's proper, like based on the music and the talent.
And I think contrived art doesn't go too far. You realize that it's honest and authentic, and you can sense it, and when people can sense it, and when it means a lot to you, that's when that beautiful product market fit happens, and then you love it.
And more equally importantly, contrived art is going to make you feel unhappy with your stuff at a certain point. Even if your heartfelt creation doesn't go anywhere, at least you created something that you love. That's important.
That's true. Are there any particular things, Nisa, that you find very challenging now that you've gotten the exposure that you hadn't imagined would come, at this point in your life? So many things happening. Are there challenges that that you'll beat along the way? But
I mean, I don't know. Like for example, I sang a song in a film this year for the first time.
Congratulations!
Really?
Hero Panti.
What language?
Hindi.
Hindi.
And Malayalam, I did a Malayalam song. But so these two things came out, and everyone's like, market it properly, what are you doing? And I'm just like, what do I do? I was like, I'll post it on Instagram, but like, what else can I do?
What else can you do?
So it's just like this like struggle of like, I've done this work, hey, but it's also like, hey, look at me, I've done this work, like look at this, it's a bit of a struggle. And like Uday, not Sir, said that, like just pay attention to the art, like the songwriting part, but right now I feel like I have to pay attention to that, plus you have to look good on social media, plus you have to make things sound hip and like today, but like, so these are like struggles you deal with, I think, when you're putting out content.
Right, and a lot of these
are real challenges. I would say that if looking at,
absolutely,
I mean, having gone with what was available to me then and what is available these days, if I were to grow in this world, I would find it very daunting. I mean, you guys Sorry, yeah.
It's a bit stressful.
No, but I have
is
a lot of
stressful,
lot of admiration for young creative people today because they're working with this stuff relentlessly, and I cannot imagine how much pressure they must be under because everything is just so fleeting and everything changes so fast.
It is. And you know, first it's about, oh my God, I need to hit that number, I need to hit that engagement, I need to hit that sweet spot where I love what people love, right? And I think that's a fair ask of oneself. I need to do or keep doing stuff that people love because that's also like a symbiotic thing. Now I'll keep doing because you love it, so I'll make more of it also if I find an audience, and my aim is to play to audiences, right?
Yeah.
There has to be that synergy.
Yeah.
Once you reach that number, then to just stay stable at that number is a task. And to maintain that, to nurture it, right? So growth is not as important, but
stability is a
nurture
myth anyway, on any level.
It is.
Because change is constant, stability is a myth. I mean, it's as simple as that. You got to work, you got to roll with it.
I mean, yeah, even if I hit 1 million followers, I still have to think of how to grow tomorrow beyond that. You know, it's never stopping.
Right. What are the things, Uday, that you know today that you wish that you knew, say, in 1991?
Oh my gosh, what a question to throw at me. Where do I begin? No, there were plenty of things that I wish I had known.
Yeah, a few things.
A lot of the tools that are available today, I really wish we'd had because for us, creating recorded music was a real challenge, real challenge. Studios weren't easily available. There were very few studios available to us. There were no studios available to us where we could record live drums, as simple as that. All we wanted was to sound like a live band. I want a studio that can record live drums well. And we couldn't find the studio at that time. So we ended up going to LA and recording the album that became the first album under the name Indiscreet, the self-titled album. But we borrowed money from friends and family and whatnot, scooted off to LA, lived 7 of us in one apartment with our friend Susan, who was co-renting the apartment with us. And it was crazy, but we were running out of money. Yeah.
I know.
Rock and roll.
DIY.
Yeah, it was a rock and roll story with lots of warts and blemishes, lots of fun, but plenty of crazy stuff as well. And in the context of things like that, I wish we had had access to really good recording studios, which today a lot of...
Sure. But
even touring. In touring nowadays, to get a good PA system available by a good reputed sound company anywhere in this country is not a hard thing, and good engineers and stuff. We had to really struggle with all of that.
you know, with the Bollywood recording industry based out of Bombay, like recording live drums was a task back in the day?
No, even now. I mean, it's hardly live drums. It's all
right,
program
of course.
stuff.
But
that's the sound, which is fine.
Sure. Wow. And what are the things that you still like, things that you find like reason to complain about, like in the 80s and now, and things that just haven't changed, that you wish changed?
Well, I would say it's something that has changed very slowly. It has changed because everything has changed, but something that I wish had changed a lot faster, a lot earlier, was levels of professionalism. That's about it, you know. People really giving themselves to their craft, whatever it is, whether you are somebody who's performing on stage, whether you're a sound engineer, whether you're somebody who's setting up the lighting truss or taking care of. And I find that when every little pillar of a particular thing works with integrity, it all comes together beautifully.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, speaking of like music, the reason why we're still talking about, you know, what you did back in the day and that, you know, inspired all of us, there are a lot of very different formats, and if I can call them visual hammers in the music, you know, understanding visual hammers, like there were a lot of visual hammers that you created. Like if you saw a music video,
what did the hammer hit though?
The hammer hit the head
It's
in
like
such
a
beautiful,
impact.
creative ways. Yeah, very
Brain
impactful. Like the Pretty
Right,
Child
right.
video is still like, you know, if I think of a 90s style shadow and light video, that's the first reference that comes to mind. I do want to actually shoot a poetry video that is inspired by Pretty Child, and I want to use all of those props and the, you know, the moods and the emotions, and I felt that there was so much, it was literally pregnant with so much emotion that we didn't quite see a lot in the music videos that came out. I mean, we did have a glorious time, the indie pop time was glorious.
But I say a lot of the credit goes to the directors of the video, Namita Roy Ghosh and Shubir Chatterjee. Now here's the thing, in the context of what we had spoken about earlier, about everyone working with integrity in each of their respective functions, their respective roles, this worked as a good example for us, because what we did is we created the music, we had nothing to do with the video except show up on set and do whatever we had to do, that the director said. That visual imagery and stuff that they created was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, which all of us love, but we can't claim any credit for it. And Pretty Child was one of those examples of so many people. Shubir and Namita, even though they were successful advertising filmmakers, put in their own money, and we could only get a certain amount of money that we raised through sponsorship for the video. They put in their money to finish it because for them it was a work of love from their side.
Right.
You can have a great song with a crappy video, it's not going to go anywhere. You can have a crappy song with a great looking video, it's not going to go anywhere. Everything's got to work together. And that's just another lesson in creation, really, in collaboration.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of videos, Uday, everybody loved your video from season 1.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to love the video for,
And that's Tejal Patni's
oh my God.
feather to wave because I think it's a fantastic job.
The song was also like, the song and the video, amazing.
Yeah. So again, Clinton and Bianca, when I first heard the basic track when they sent it to me, I loved it already. So they did their bit to this, they kickstarted the entire thing. It was great already. I just added to it. And then Tejal added to it on top. Again, another example of if you work with love at creating something, it can work really beautifully and everyone does it together. It just gives that much more power and strength to the creative process and the creative result.
Oh, lovely. I think we're going to be very, very excited as people who have been stakeholders and, investors in the NEXA music property, really, with the kind of music that's going to come out this year. With the little sort of sneak peeks that I've had, it's so much more overwhelming in terms of the diversity that we're going to see. Uday, what do you feel about, the journey this year? You've been part of NEXA music from the get-go. You saw the evolution of a lot of these people.
I think there's ridiculous amounts of talent in this country, no question about it. When I moved back, I was living in the US for 9 years, from 1999 to 2008. When I moved back in 2008, and I'd stayed out of touch with the music scene over here, there'd been a complete shift, paradigm shift as the marketing people like to say, in the mentality and the consciousness of young emerging musicians, newer generation of musicians, super talent. And that is being harnessed right now and being taken forward. I'm really excited. I'm really happy to see what comes next because I think there's so much talent here. It's limitless. The potential really is limitless for where they can go.
Lovely. And Nisa, what do you feel about being surrounded by people who are so inspiring, so creative, and peers of you?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm working on my own music right now, and I'm working on the music video and conceptualizing it. And I know that things I have done in NEXA, the videos we've shot here, things have just somehow inspired me, and subconsciously I'm using those skills in my work, which I will do independently as well. So it's just like a wonderful amalgamation of so many different things that will help me as an artist in whatever I do.
Oh, lovely. I do want to know from you what your biggest creative dreams are right now. Maybe for this year.
To put out a bunch of amazing singles, to have music videos that are different and raw and very me and full of humor. I love to put humor into my work and my songs and my videos. I mean, slowly I'm getting into that. So I want to do that. Put a lot of my personality into
That's brilliant.
Into
more
my
power
work.
to you. We can see it. I mean, it's so palpable. I think it'll be beautiful to see more of it.
Yeah.
So all the best with that. Uday, I want to ask you too, what your creative dreams are right now at this point.
Creative dreams. Musical front, we're seeing where it all goes. I tried to put together something in Goa recently, didn't work out. So it's an ongoing process. Like I said, it doesn't stop. Even when you work with what I think is clean, clear intent, I thought it was going to come together, it didn't. And that's the nature of creation. You put it all out there, you think it's going to happen, it may not happen. It's okay, move on to the next one. Don't wed yourself to something and say all is lost because that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So there's a revival of iRock happening this year, so that's part of my...
I love it, breaking news, tang, tang, tang.
So that should be fun.
That should be fun.
Yeah. And we'll see where the music happens. I'm just allowing things to gestate within myself. There are ideas, kind of like what you said about having lyrics that are always with you. That's with me as well. There's always words, there's a phrase somewhere or the other that's floating about, which may trigger a song idea. Or I may have a little melodic phrase that triggers the song idea and add lyrics to it later. So when it happens, it happens.
Right, because we're always creating and we're consuming, and I feel sometimes we are consuming more and we're creating less, and there's a time to consume and there's a time to create. I think you're probably consuming right now.
And very important,
yes,
actually equally important, if not more important, again something Nisa and I were talking about earlier, between the creation and the consumption is the interval, which is really important for any creative person. Always take space away from what you're doing, your regular activities, because you're creating space within yourself to allow for those subliminal or those things that are floating about, to have the space within themselves and not fight with other things happening in your life. You take on too much, and I know the pressures are on really heavily for young musicians today to make the video, to make the Instagram stories, to create the song, to keep up every day with stuff. If you keep doing that, you don't give yourself the space to actually create. All you're doing is furthering what you've done to begin with and constantly flogging that horse, which is okay for a while, but after a while the horse dies.
I'm taking this advice personally
Resting
right
period.
now. I'm taking this advice. Thank you so much for saying that. But Nisa, what are you most grateful for right now as a musician, as a creative person?
I'm just grateful I can wake up and be like, I can write a song today and tomorrow I can make a video and put it out and people can hear it.
That's
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. That's it.
That's
all
right?
it is.
Yeah.
What are you most grateful for? Same things?
Well, I'm very grateful for the fact that I've been able to have a lot of fun for most of my life, and that fun contains a lot of pain and struggle as well. Every creative person should know this. Do it for the love of it and do it for the fun of it, and you will have a lot of fun, but there will also be a lot of pain and struggle and challenges as part of it. It's important that it is a part of it, because what you create will be that much richer, that much more imbued with truth. And so I'm grateful for just having had the opportunity to be able to do it for so long. I'm very grateful. I mean, I want to sound like a sentimental whatnot just now, but I have to acknowledge the fact that I had two very cool parents who didn't put any pressure on me to do anything else.
I think we're all on the same page
Very,
about
very
that.
thankful.
We needed people to tell us that, I don't know,
It's
writing
okay.
poetry, for me, writing like poetry on my desk is fine.
Yeah.
Painting the walls is fine. Do whatever the hell makes you happy.
And as a result of that, I feel it's my responsibility to encourage other people to think freely as well.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the benefit of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And whenever I've been approached by friends who now have their children starting out in the music business and stuff, or wanting to be a part of the music business, the first thing I tell them is, you please stay out of it. Stay out of it, because you're going to muddle it up for them. Either you're going to want them to do something else, or you're going to push them to do things that they're not necessarily ready to do. Get out of the way. Let them find their own path. It is their path, it's not yours. Create the environment, yes. Give them the freedom, give them the encouragement, allow them to do things. And every now and then, if they're going a little crazy, rein them in, it's okay.
Yeah.
But give them the space.
Give them, which is not very different from what NEXA Music's doing, right? Mummies and daddies can be a little too sort of involved, but then NEXA Music's doing that, right? You all have the creative freedom to explore, experiment, and put out what you love. On that note, I want to thank the both of you for coming on this podcast. It was wonderful speaking with you.
And thank you for having me, having me on this podcast.
It's an honor.
It's an honor.
Is it an honor?
And a
Honor
privilege.
and pleasure.
But thank you so much, Uday. It was
my pleasure,
wonderful
absolutely.
having this conversation. I think that whoever's watching this is going back with so much knowledge. I think so much food for thought. I think a lot of the things that you've said are things that you don't hear from people, right? The fact that parents need to be out of their creative journeys, and if you want to do something, just stick to it. Find your niche and go with it. Nisa, thank you so much. I know that this is a amazing, incredible, vital year for you, and may all your dreams come true. May all your musical, goals come to life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Uday. Thank you so much, Nisa. This was a great episode of NEXA Music Season 2 podcast. My name is Nirmika Singh. You're watching this on Rolling Stone India. Thank you so much.